Like Floyd spends money like it's a tap. Like he's got a tap, just like unlimited amount of money. Money's just flowing. And even as much money as he's made in his career, which he's probably made as much, if not more money than any boxer ever. Like there's all these lawsuits. Like he hasn't been paying things and he owes money on this and owes money on that. And it's like, and then he's got to come out of retirement.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough.
He have it, but he really don't have that spark like how he was when like he was in it. You know? Like him going back and like fighting and stuff like that. I think that shit fucked him up.
Whatever could happen if the guy gets beat up by Manny Pacquiao, right? It creates a tough situation. I felt like that was the bigger story, but is Floyd broke? What a stupid question. Are you a stupid person? Of course he's broke. He's a boxer.
Joe Rogan framed the idea of a Floyd Mayweather Jr. versus Manny Pacquiao rematch like the kind of blockbuster headline that practically writes itself, and he kicked it around with Gervonta Tank Davis as if they were breaking down a Hollywood sequel nobody asked for but everyone would still watch. The vibe wasn't unfinished business, though it was more like, here we go again. Tank didn't sugarcoat it. In his view, these kinds of late-stage matchups aren't about pushing boxing forward or adding something meaningful to the sport's legacy. They're about the payday, the buzz, and the easy attention that comes with two iconic names sharing a poster, even if the competitive stakes feel secondary.
The industry world is just like, it's trash, bro. It's a whole bunch of...
Rogan also gave Mayweather his flowers for something most retired stars can't pull off, still looking sharp enough to make people question whether he ever actually left. He pointed out that Floyd hasn't let the off switch flip the way it does for so many athletes once the pressure of training camps disappears. What impressed him most was how Mayweather seems to keep the same speed, rhythm, and discipline that defined his prime, paired with a physique that looks more fight-ready than former champ. Rogan painted it as the rare case of a superstar who treated retirement like a schedule change, not a lifestyle change.
In his body, and also that mindset of what he learned when he was in...
The conversation around Mayweather's longevity kept circling back to one word: discipline. The idea is that Floyd stays competitive because he doesn't live like a retired legend who's earned the right to indulge, he lives like someone still protecting an image, a brand, and a body that made him famous. By steering clear of habits that slow most people down, he's credited with preserving the traits that made him nearly untouchable: quick reactions, slick movement, steady stamina, and that signature sharpness that doesn't seem to fade the way it usually does when fighters step away.
Discipline is everything. Discipline, never knowing you're never going back to that. Don't buy anything stupid. Don't be dumb with your money. Don't be dumb with your body. Take care of yourself. Never get out of shape. Always keep your conditioning up. So when you go into camp, you're not struggling to get back in shape again. You're already in shape. Now you're just working on your skills and honing everything to a razor sharp.
Max Kellerman's take leaned into the eye test. He suggested that even now, Mayweather still flashes that elite defensive brilliance, the kind that makes casual viewers gasp and hardcore fans nod like, yep, that's the guy. The speed, the timing, the ability to make punches miss still reads as world-class in bursts. And while plenty of people roll their eyes at the idea of running it back with Pacquiao, Kellerman floated the possibility that the event could still be legitimately entertaining. Not necessarily career-defining, but exciting in the way big-name nights can be when the atmosphere is right and the stakes are emotional, even if they aren't historical.
I think I would have always favored Mayweather to win the fight. The point is that because it happened after its expiration date, we will never have the actual answer. You and I might agree, Mayweather was too long, too good a boxer, naturally bigger guy and better defense. But we will never actually know the answer to that question because we never got to see it 5 years earlier. Now, Shady makes the point, Malik, that this is not like Crawford-Canelo, and it's not. But it's also not exactly like Jake Paul and Mike Tyson.
It's nowhere near
right?
that stuff.
So what is it? What are we, because Netflix doesn't seem to care if this is more of kind of a carnival or an exhibition, or if it's like the greatest, biggest fight in the world. What they're looking for are eyeballs, right? Where does this fall, Mayweather and Pacquiao, on the most legitimate Crawford-Canelo side of the spectrum, or the kind of sideshow?
Gervonta Davis kept it blunt when the rematch talk came up. The engine driving it is money. He didn't frame it like a noble sporting mission or a battle for legacy, he framed it like a business move dressed up as a rivalry. From his perspective, the appeal is obvious. Two global brands, one ring, instant headlines, and a crowd ready to pay for nostalgia. The motivation isn't mysterious, it's simply profitable.
He need the money. I'm telling you.
Does he have a chance to win though?
Top Ring ain't playing like that, and they ain't playing like that.
So you
don't see it.
Chael Sonnen took the outrage temperature down by basically asking, "Why are we pretending this is shocking?" He argued that fans who complain about a cash-driven fight are ignoring how the real world works, inside boxing and outside of it. His point was simple: professionals get paid to do what they're good at. Mayweather fights because boxing is his profession, and chasing income doesn't suddenly become immoral just because the fighter is already wealthy. Sonnen compared it to everyday life. People go to work for money, so why demand a different standard from athletes?
Why do you get up every day and go to work? Why are you going to your job next week? Why will you be at your job the week after that? Because you need the money. What's wrong with that? And why are we attempting to tease Floyd? Is Floyd? Yes, he's broke. Of course he's broke. He's a boxer. Did they say can't read? That's not to tease him. They say that he can't read. His best friend at the time said that he can't read, and he never denied it. I don't tease him for it. He was a guy. He grew up in a boxing channel, right? It's one of these things. You know what you know. You know what you were taught. I didn't teach him about contracts. I didn't teach him about saving. I didn't teach him about investments. Who would have taught him these things? Of course he's broke. He's a gambling addict. He's got baby mamas all over the... What do you mean is he broke?
Pacquiao, meanwhile, framed the potential win as something bigger than himself. He positioned it as a message to the next wave of fighters, proof that determination and discipline can still carry you, and that ambition doesn't have an expiration date. In that light, he wasn't selling the rematch as a pure nostalgia play. He was selling it as inspiration, a spotlight moment that could energize younger pros watching from the sidelines and remind them what commitment is supposed to look like.
A very good inspiration for the young kids. Not only to all the boxers, but also to the people who have dream. Even though I'm 46, if you're still dreaming in your life, you can make it.
Few things resonate more deeply than watching someone defy the odds and triumph. For many fans, and especially for Filipinos, Manny Pacquiao embodies hope, pride, and the possibility of rising above it all.
One argument making the rounds is that both men have already locked in their immortality. Decades of elite performances, historic wins, and championship-level moments across eras have already stamped their names into boxing history, regardless of what happens next. From that same viewpoint, Mayweather's side of the story is that he settled the debate the first time and still looks unusually fresh for someone who's been out of the traditional grind. Because of that, a second fight would land less like a turning point and more like a major spectacle, an event built on fame and fascination, not on rewriting legacies.
But if Pacquiao were to beat Floyd in this exhibition or fight or whatever they're going to call it, do you think it shouldn't? But do you think that affects either one of their legacies?
Not at all.
No, that's
Not
we
at
talking about grandpa.
not true.
We talking about grandfathers fighting each other. That's what we talking about.
It's not.
Come on, man.
Wait. I said, it's the zero line. Little bit.
No.
I'm not saying it's a transformative thing, but to say it doesn't affect it at all is probably not right, and I'll tell you why. Because if Pacquiao should win, for example, there will be those who say, well, when Mayweather beat him the first time, they were both past their primes. Mm-hmm. Certainly Pacquiao, who had been destroyed by Marquez, right, knocked out, was not the world-beating terror. Yeah, and the rotator cuff, but he was a world-beating terror 5 years.
That said, even the most legacy-proof icons aren't completely immune to public opinion. The thinking here is that a surprising result could slightly tilt the way fans talk about the past, especially if Mayweather were to lose, which could reopen old arguments about timing and whether their first clash happened after both men had already slipped from their absolute peak. Some critics might also rehash the context surrounding earlier career moments, including the idea that a brutal knockout loss Pacquiao suffered in a different fight affected his momentum and perception heading into the Mayweather matchup. Still, the bigger message remains unchanged. One late career, exhibition-flavored rematch wouldn't erase what either man accomplished. Their status as all-time greats, built across multiple divisions and countless defining nights, would remain intact even if the outcome gives the internet something new to debate.
Cotto and Hatton and beating them worse than Floyd was beating them, right? That's when we wanted to see the fight. Happens 5 years later.
Right. Yeah.
So people will point to that and say, and then when they were, yes, they were much older than that, but the first fight wasn't like,
they both was in their prime.
yeah, and neither was it lopsided. Like
it wasn't lopsided.
Floyd Mayweather won decisively, but he'll even tell you that was one of his trickiest fights.
That's the only reason why I think it shouldn't be a second fight, because to me, Floyd handled him so easy.
But think about what
I
Max
know
is saying.
Pacquiao said otherwise.
Yeah, but what I'm
the
saying
visual,
is, people, if Pacquiao wins a rematch, because I agree, it's like with an asterisk, but if he does that, it will affect people's thinking a little bit. Hearns and Sugar Ray Leonard, it's not nearly the same. They were in their 30s, not their 80s or whatever these guys are in now, but Hearns got Leonard in the rematch, even though it was called a draw, and people look at Hearns a little differently vis-a-vis Sugar Ray Leonard than they did before that fight.
But that was more competitive, I would say.
Luke Thomas zoomed out and treated the whole rematch conversation like a symptom of the entertainment era we're living in. He argued that audiences are being hit with an endless conveyor belt of content, fights, shows, clips, moments, events, and when everything is marketed as must-see, it can start to feel strangely less special.